Book of Job, Chapter 13, in the Brenton Septuagint translation. Behold, mine eye has seen these things, and mine ear has heard them. And I know all that you too know, and I have not less understanding than you. Nevertheless, I will speak to the Lord, and I will reason before him, if he will. But ye are all bad physicians and healers of diseases. But would that ye were silent, and it would be wisdom to you in the end. But hear ye the reasoning of my mouth, and attend to the judgment of my lips. Do ye not speak before the Lord, and utter deceit before him? Or will ye draw back? Nay, do. Ye yourselves be judges. For it were well, if he would thoroughly search you, for though doing all things in your power, you should attach yourselves to him, he will not reprove you at all the less. But if moreover he should secretly respect persons, shall not his whirlpool sweep you round, and terror from him fall upon you? And your glorying shall prove in the end to you like ashes, and your body like a body of clay. Be silent, that I may speak, and cease from mine anger. While I may take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand. Though the mighty one should lay hand upon me, for as much as he has begun, verily I will speak, and plead before him. And this shall turn to me for salvation, for fraud shall have no entrance before him. Hear ye my words, for I will declare in your hearing. Behold, I am near my judgment. I know that I shall appear evidently just. For who is he that shall plead with me, that I should now be silent and expire? But grant me two things, then I will not hide myself from thy face. Withhold thine hand from me, and let not thy fear terrify me. Then shalt thou call, and I will hearken to thee. Or thou shalt speak, and I will give thee an answer. How many are my sins and my transgressions? Teach me what they are. Wherefore hidest thou thyself from me, and deemest me thine enemy? Wilt thou be startled at me, as at a leaf shaken by the wind? Or wilt thou set thyself against me, as against grass borne upon the breeze? For thou hast written evil things against me, and thou hast compassed me with the sins of my youth. And thou hast placed my foot in the stocks, and thou hast watched all my works, and hast penetrated my heels. I am as that which waxes old like a bottle, or like a moth-eaten garment. Job chapter 13, from the Masoretic text. Lo, mine eye hath seen all this, mine ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to Shaddai, and I desire to reason with El. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Will ye speak wickedly for El, and talk deceitfully for him? Will ye accept his person? Will ye contend for El? Is it good that he should search you out? Or as one man mocketh another, do ye so mock him? He will surely reprove you if you do secretly accept persons. Shall not his excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? Your remembrances are like unto ashes, your bodies to bodies of clay. Hold your peace. Let me alone, that I may speak, and let come on me what will. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, but I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation, for an hypocrite shall not come before him. Hear diligently my speech, and my declaration with your ears. Behold now, I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead with me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. Only do not two things unto me, then will I not hide myself from thee. Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. Then call thou, and I will answer, or let me speak, and answer thou me. How many are mine iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and holdest me for thine enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf driven to and fro? And wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? For thou writest bitter things against me, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth. Thou puttest my feet also in the stocks, and lookest narrowly unto all my paths. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet, and he, as a rotten thing, consumeth, as a garment that is moth-eaten. Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to Job chapter 13. This is one of the most important chapters in the book of Job, and one of the most important chapters we'll ever cover on this channel. You're going to see multiple cataclysmic differences, and I did the narration for both versions. I rarely do that, but I wanted to emphasize a point that the Masoretic text, when you read it, there's certainly a spirit of defiance, a spirit of confidence, not confidence in a good way, but more of arrogance and a bit of attitude when it comes to Job. I completely understand why scholars and many people would read the book of Job, and especially in this chapter, they would take Job being a very bitter, perhaps even an arrogant man, self-righteous, just based on the Masoretic text alone, and especially in this chapter. But what I hope to demonstrate to you and really prove in this video is that based on the Septuagint, he is a different Job. He's a different person. He's not that arrogant, self-righteous, bitter person. He is simply a righteous man who's perplexed at the situation he's got into, and he's humbling himself before the Elohim of Israel. He's asking many pertinent questions regarding what he's going through. So let's get into the content now. There are 28 verses in the chapter. We're just going to cover the significant aspects, the significant differences that I think are significant anyway. Verse 2, I have not less understanding than you, versus I am not inferior unto you. Okay, so this was repeated in Job chapter 12:3, verse 3. So this statement, I have not less understanding than you, or I should say, I am not inferior unto you. When you read that, there is a tinge of attitude. that Job has a superiority complex. He feels more, at the very least, on equal plane with his three friends, but, at the worst, he's a lot more knowledgeable, more wise than they are. Verse 3, nevertheless, versus surely, in any event, versus certainly. There's an omission of if he will. Actually, we should skip that. Verse 4, significant difference, but ye are all bad physicians, and the implication is bad healers of diseases. Versus, but ye are forgers of lies. They're just telling lies. They are lie makers. And you are all physicians of no value, worthless. Okay, skipping ahead to verse 7, our first big difference of the chapter, possibly a huge difference. It says, speak before Elohim, versus speak, and it says, an addition of wickedly, they're speaking for Elohim. Do you not speak your words before Elohim, even lying before him, about him and about Job's situation? Versus, will you speak wickedly on behalf of Elohim? So Job is accusing his friends of speaking for God, even speaking deceitful things on God's behalf in the Masoretic. Whereas in the Septuagint, he's basically saying, are you not speaking in his presence before Elohim? And he's a witness to your words. So that's the difference there. Verse 8, another big difference or huge difference. And this could be sarcasm, or I could be wrong, but it reads here, will you draw back? No, do it. You yourselves be judges. In other words, are you backing out now? No, just do it, since you have shown yourselves to be suitable judges. So I take that as sarcasm. I could be wrong again. The Masoretic reads this way, will you accept his person? Will you contend for Elohim? Will you lift up or bear his presence or his face? Will you fight for Elohim against me, acting as his prosecutor? Verse 9, for it were well if he would thoroughly search you, versus is it good that he should search you out? So there's a statement being made versus a question. Big difference in the same verse. For though doing all things in your power, you should attach yourselves to him. Versus, or as one man mocks another, do you so mock him? So the Septuagint is saying, even if you guys try to ally yourselves with God, versus, do you mock God? Verse 10, he will not correct you less. That's a paraphrase. He will surely reprove you if you are secretly showing partiality towards people. But if you do have partiality, if they secretly have partiality. Verse 11, whirlpool sweeps you round, versus excellency makes you afraid. Verse 12, glorying versus remembrances. There's an omission of shall prove in the end to you like ashes. Verse 13, let me alone, huge difference, and cease from mine anger, versus and let come on me what will. So Job is saying, I will stop being angry, versus let whatever happens, including the judgment of Elohim, come upon me. Verse 14, while, so this is important, while I may take my flesh in my teeth, versus wherefore, so why do I take my flesh in my teeth? So teeth could be a figurative way for Job to say the potsherd that he's been using to scrape his skin. It could be the tooth or the sharp. It can be expressed as the sharp, so the sharpness of the tool, the potsherd. And life could also mean his heart, his emotions in his hand. So those are possibilities. I'm not saying that dogmatically, but I am open to those possibilities. Now here's where we really get into the big differences in this chapter. So please pay attention here. This is the most important parts of for this chapter, and probably in this all the content we'll ever cover in this channel. So verse 15, big difference, huge difference, it starts here. Though the mighty one should lay hand upon me, for as much as he has begun. So this is a memory verse. A lot of people remember, this verse in Job, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. So though he kill me, though God kills me, I'm going to trust him. That's not what he's saying. He says, though God should do unto me, even as he already started to do. These chastisements, these punishments that Job has been shouldering. And then we see the cataclysmic difference, our first one in this chapter. It says, verily, I will speak and plead before him, versus I will maintain mine own ways before him. So this is basically Job saying in the Septuagint, let's just say in the Masoretic first, I will maintain, I'm going to stay the same, I'm going to keep my own way of life, and I'm going to keep my own integrity before him, my own self-righteousness before God. It's really hard to read it any other way, but as a man who's self-righteous and egotistical in a certain way. In the Septuagint, it reads like this: I will beg before him and make supplication. That's all he's saying. He's not saying I'm going to maintain my own way. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to repent, essentially. That's not what he's saying. He's saying I'm going to beg. I'm going to pray. I'm going to make my request through supplication, the proper way, not being some hard-headed, unrepentant, stubborn, egotistical, self-righteous, fill in the blank. Verse 16, another memory verse. And this shall turn to me for salvation. So, again, a lot of people memorize this verse in the book of Job. He also shall be my salvation. And they say this is a messianic verse. But he's not saying that. He's not saying he's going to save me. Why? Just for no particular reason. He's just going to save me. He's saying in the Septuagint, this situation that I'm going through, this ordeal that I'm living, will change and will turn into, it's going to turn for me for good. It's going to become salvation for me. It's going to be for the purpose of my salvation, if I can put it that way. For fraud shall have no entrance before him, for a hypocrite shall not come before him. Verse 18, another big difference, huge difference. Behold, I am near my judgment, versus behold, now I have ordered my cause. So basically saying in the Septuagint, God will judge him, Job, and Job is getting closer to that time of being judged. Versus I, Job, I have made a request regarding my case. Again, just continuing this arrogant, self-righteous characterization of Job, which is false. I have to stress it's false. This is a mischaracterization of who this most righteous man was. He's one of the most righteous men who ever lived, besides Noah, besides Daniel, besides Yeshua, HaMashiach. You have Job up there with them. I know that I shall appear evidently just. I know that I shall be justified. So Job is confident in the Septuagint that outwardly he will appear to be evidently or obviously innocent or blameless. Outwardly. He's not saying inside and out I'm 100% clean. He's saying I've done the things on my part, physically and morally and according to Torah, that should prove me to be blameless. But in the Masoretic, Job is completely confident he will be judged to be innocent. He has zero doubt, inside and out, his heart, his actions, his speech, everything. Verse 19, who will be the one to plead with Job that I should now be silent and die, expire? Verses, for now, if I hold my tongue, if I don't speak, I'm going to die, essentially. It's an exaggeration. Verse 20, probably the linchpin, the most important part of this chapter, and perhaps the book. We'll see once we reach the end of Job. Another great memory verse. I'll read in the Masoretic first because that's what people tend to remember. Only do not two things unto me. So don't do these things. versus grant me these two things. So one is saying, don't do these. And the Masoretic, the Septuagint, is saying, please do these. And what is he asking him to do in the Septuagint anyway? So please do this for me. Withdraw your hand from me. Why? Because that hand has been smacking him all around the place and chastising him. He's been suffering under God's hand. Why would he want his hand? He's saying, please withhold your hand. Take it away from me. Makes sense. And secondly, let not your fear terrify me. That's sensible as well. Okay, what is he saying in the Masoretic? Don't do these things to me. Do not withdraw your hand far from me. And do not let your dread make me afraid. So the Masoretic demands, especially the first one, this is often romanticized to mean that, Job does want God's hand close to him. Please don't bring your hand far from me. This is far from what Job wants, because his perception, again, he doesn't know what's happening behind the scenes with Satan and God. His perception is that it is Elohim's hand that has caused his present calamity. Therefore, that is why he does, in fact, according to the Septuagint, request that this be granted, not done. And God does indeed, please withhold or take away, remove your hand, so that his sufferings would end. Job is saying, let my sufferings end. And the second demand in the Septuagint is straightforward, easy to understand. So asking for God not to let not your dread make me afraid, it's a double negative. So that technically means do this. Let your dread make me more afraid. So that doesn't make sense. That's terrifying. It's illogical given all the ordeals Job has already gone through. And verse 22, hearken versus answer. And we have another cataclysmic difference. 3 in 1 chapter. This is unprecedented. I don't think we ever had this before since the inception of this channel back in January 2020. Thou shalt speak. Oh, this is a memory verse as well. It says, let me speak and answer thou me. So Job you could just picture him with his fist clenched, shaking it to heaven. Let me speak and you answer me, God. Defiantly, right? He's just defying God right now, like even worse than Goliath, I could say. And then in the Septuagint, he's not saying that at all. He's saying, God, you will speak and I will answer you, showing the correct order of things, that God has authority and Job is acquiescing to whatever God will say. I will give you an answer for whatever you speak. And that's the power dynamic here. Elohim is the master and Job is the servant, not the other way around. The servant doesn't order around the master. I speak to you and you answer me, master. It doesn't make any sense. One could take this chapter and say, oh, look at the Bible, it's so corrupt. They could correctly say that based on the Masoretic text, but when you look at the Septuagint, it's perfect in this chapter, in this book. Verse 25. Wilt thou be startled at me as at a leaf shaken by the wind, or wilt thou set thyself against me as against grass borne upon the breeze? Wilt thou break a leaf driven to and fro? Wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? So Job is inserting himself twice in this metaphor, saying, you're going to be startled at me because you will be like a leaf shaken by the wind, and I suppose he's the wind. And he's saying that I am the grass and you're the breeze, versus Job is simply talking about Elohim in general in the Masoretic. Skipping ahead to verse 27, we're going to get to the end of that verse, and this is possibly a messianic prophecy. It says here, penetrated my heels. That is possibly a reference to the Messiah's feet being penetrated by the nail on the cross when he's crucified. Very powerful and very pertinent. Perhaps that's what it is, perhaps not. I could be wrong, but there's certainly a possibility there. Verses set a print on the heel, so put a mark on his heels. Verse 28, I am as that which waxes old like a bottle. like a moth-eaten garment, and he as a rotten thing consumes. This is actually this is blasphemy. If Job is actually referring to the Elohim, because he is referring to him in verse 26. You write bitter things against me, Elohim. You do this, you do that. And he, talking about Elohim, who else could it be talking about? It's not saying I, he's saying he. Elohim, I hate to say this, I'm just reading what it says. He's speaking blasphemy against God, worse than what even Goliath himself didn't say anything this bad. All he said is, I defy the armies of the living Elohim. He didn't say that Elohim is rotten. And it's even worse because Job is supposedly close to Elohim. I mean, he is, but I mean, that's not how one who's close to Elohim speaks, has a good relationship with him. So what is Job actually saying? He's saying, I am like that which grows old. He's seeing himself. I am like this old bottle, this canteen. They used to make them out of leather and different material back then. So I grew old. That's all he's saying. Look at me. I look like I'm old now after all these ordeals. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. It's an understatement. This is, again, one of the most important videos and chapters and verses I've covered, especially the 3 cataclysmic differences. You can be certain all 3 will appear in the summary video. But for now, I was stressed out about, after having read this, I had to lie down and almost take a nap. I was just so distraught and emotionally devastated, to be honest, after I read what I had read, because one is saying Job is like this, and we've been reading this. Well, I've been reading it for many years, and I even covered it in an English literature class, and they said, Job's greatest sin is that he's self-righteous, and God had to fix that. After reading this chapter in the Masoretic text, I understand why they would say that. But since the Septuagint exists, and it is the truth, it is the authoritative voice of Scripture, that's what Yeshua and his disciples used, and the early New Testament believers, we can see that it's quite the opposite. Job is not self-righteous. He is humble. He is simply asking the right questions, asking them humbly, and he has every right to, ask, why is this happening? Because he didn't do anything to deserve these things. But he's not speaking any blasphemy. He is not telling Elohim to keep punishing him. He's saying, please take your hand away. Please stop punishing me. And it's just too much. He's reached a limit. And this is only chapter 13. So thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.